I think one of the most intimidating topics, after getting diagnosed with IBD, is the concept of accommodations. I think it can be a very overwhelming topic and something that, going into it, you're probably not very informed on. I know it was for me. I know for me too, it was something that it was just really hard to accept, like that I was at a place where I was going to need to ask for accommodations, where my body was not healthy enough and where I would actually qualify for it. That was something that I'd never experienced before and something that was like a little bit scary and intimidating to me. So hopefully I can help you out in this video with just giving you some tips and some things both in college and in working life that I found helpful for getting accommodations, as well as like specific accommodations that you might want to look out for and ask for. So first I'll start in college. So I was diagnosed actually the day before finals of first semester of my senior year. I was actually scheduled to have a final on the day of my colonoscopy. So obviously I had to reach out to my professor and reschedule that. So I guess we could include that as an accommodation as well, before I even really knew what was going to be happening to me. And then following my colonoscopy, I was able to reschedule a couple of my other finals as well, because I had some the very next day and I was just really tired, obviously, and was just processing my recent diagnosis. But I was able to go home pretty much right after finals for Christmas break. So I had a couple of weeks to kind of figure out what I was going to need coming back spring semester before I graduated, kind of talk to my doctor more, see what was going to be happening. And it ended up that things progressed faster than we expected when I talked to my doctor. But I was able to kind of get accommodations as needed throughout the semester. So one of the things, I was living in a dorm at the time with 3 other people, 1 shared toilet, 1 shared shower. We had 2 sinks, but just 1 toilet. And so obviously that was something that was already difficult for me. Number one, because if I had to go to the bathroom, it was urgent most of the time. And if someone was in there showering or just going to the bathroom, it was obviously really hard to try to kind of make that work. And also, I just wanted a private space where I could go to the bathroom if I wasn't feeling well and not, have all my roommates be able to hear everything that was going on in there. And also in my dorm, we had a kitchen, but it was on the 1st floor and I was up on the 3rd or the 4th. And the kitchen was shared by everyone in the dorm. So it's not like I had, sole access to it or anything, or if it was just me and a couple other people. I was also on the campus meal plan at the time. And I really couldn't eat most of the food that was provided through that. I went to a really small school, and so we didn't have a ton of options. And honestly, a lot of the food made me really sick. And I just didn't really have a big appetite at the time anyway. So I really just wasn't, it was kind of just money wasted at that point. And so the first 2 things that I, wanted to prioritize were trying to get off of the meal plan and trying to look at other living options where I would have access to my own bathroom. So I looked online at my school's website and found kind of our student services area, where I reached out to somebody who handled like disability and accommodations. And most of the time that information can be found like on your website where like the student portals are and stuff. So I just kind of reached out. I explained that I had just been diagnosed with ulcerative colitis and kind of said, I don't really even know what I'm going to need, but I know I'm going to need something. So she was great. She was able to tell me all the documentation I was going to need. My school required a pretty significant amount of documentation. So she reached out to the housing person as well. And I just provided documentation from my doctor that basically stated my diagnosis and that the doctor recommended that, basically they comply with any accommodations that I asked for. And then, so that was kind of to be able to get accommodations for like housing and classes, which I'll get to in a little bit. To get off of my meal plan was a little bit more difficult. They really didn't want me to, because that's, money for them that they would be losing. So I had to provide a lot more documentation. I said that I was going to be trying the low FODMAP diet, which ended up not working really for me anyway. But I provided documentation from my doctor and his nurse that basically stated the specific foods that were included in the low FODMAP diet, and I kind of outlined how most of the time were not provided through the campus's meal plan. So after that, I eventually was able to get moved into a townhouse on campus. I had my own room and my own bathroom, and I just shared a kitchen with 2 other people. So full fridge, full refrigerator, freezer, microwave, oven, all of it. So that was really awesome because then I was able to cook my own food and not have to worry about it. I was also able to mostly get off of the campus's meal plan as well. So I had what we called points, which were just like spending dollars for kind of like our grocery stores on campus. But I didn't have to like eat my meals in the dining hall or at any of our like fast food options. So that was really good. The other main accommodations I got were regarding classes. So some of the things that were discussed were extended test times in case I needed breaks or anything, and also the ability to leave the classroom to go to the bathroom. Some of the professors were like really strict about like you can't leave. So I was able to get that accommodation as well as extended time in case I needed to take a lot of breaks to go to the bathroom or whatever. I also got accommodations to miss class more than whatever the professor had laid out in the syllabus to be acceptable. So whether that be that I was just sick or if I had doctor's appointments or was in the ER, whatever it was, I pretty much was allowed to like miss class as needed as long as I kind of kept up with my end of things regarding my classwork. The other thing I was able to get was I only had Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes, and I had them back to back for a really long time. And one of mine was during my lunch hour, which typically I needed to go at least, refuel on water. And most of the time I was really needing to go to the bathroom at that time. So I was able to get that class moved to an online class so that I could do it back in my dorm where I was able to go to the bathroom, able to grab the food or drinks that I needed at the time. And it just kind of gave me a break in the day, which I really needed because I was so fatigued all the time. So those are the main accommodations that I got in college. I know there are plenty more options available too. I would recommend just reaching out to your school's disability center and just kind of discussing options and things that you might need. And I would always say it's better to ask. The worst that they're going to say is no. So if you don't know if they're able to do it, just ask, explain your situation, just really try to work with them, work with your professors. I would always go up to my professors before class and just say, at the beginning of the semester, kind of introduce myself, kind of put a name to the face for any emails that they got regarding my accommodations, just so that they kind of knew who it was and so that I was kind of, proactively taking responsibility for my grades and for my classwork and, reassuring them that it's not me trying to get out of class, it's that I want to perform to the best of my ability and that sometimes that just may require some extra help on their end. So after I graduated then, I pretty much got a job right away. And so I very quickly also had to learn how to, ask for workplace accommodations that I was going to need. So I was really open about my disease at the time, and I still am. I kind of had to get comfortable pretty quickly just being able to say, I have this disease and I'm going to need some accommodations. I typically stated it within the interview process when I was interviewing for jobs towards the end of college. If it was a phone interview, I typically didn't mention it unless it happened to come up. But if it got to the level where I was going to in-person interviews, it was something I would mention. I kind of just said, I have ulcerative colitis. At the time, I was not receiving infusions yet, but I was going to the ER frequently, and I didn't know what the future of my medical care was going to look like. Now, I do receive infusions, so in any job interviews I've had since then, I say, I receive infusions every 6 weeks. They're only offered during the week, and they are only open until the last appointment is at 3. And typically most of the places that I've been interviewing at are about a half hour away from my infusion center. So I just say, once every 6 weeks, I'll need to leave at 2:30. And, I can't really function great after the infusion because I'm pretty tired from it. And I say, I can pretty much do it any other day of the week, Monday through Thursday, whatever would be most convenient. And thankfully, everywhere I've interviewed has had no problem with that. They're really willing to accommodate that and everything. But whatever accommodations that you're going to need in the workplace, if you're comfortable, I would do it, in the interview process. they're not just interviewing you, you're interviewing them too. You're making sure that it's a company that you want to work for, management that you like, leadership you're going to like, coworkers, and the job itself. And you're also making sure that they're going to be a supportive company for you as an employee. You know, are they going to support you in the work that you're doing, in anything outside of work, your personal life, and in your medical life as well? If there's a company that is going to constantly be causing issues if you need accommodations and constantly, you know, berating you about that, that's probably not a company you want to work for in the first place. So I really take that time too to kind of gauge their response. And if they seem really hesitant and kind of iffy on it, that's kind of a red flag to me of, you know, this might not be a company that I'm comfortable working for in the long run. So the main accommodation that I've gotten at jobs is the ability to leave for infusions every 6 weeks as I need to. And then also just kind of flexibility if I need to work from home, if I'm flaring or just react poorly to a food that I've eaten. You know, obviously I don't want to be in the office running, you know, to and from the bathroom a lot. So making sure, as long as it's something I can do from home, making sure that they're okay with every now and then me saying in the morning, hey, you know, not feeling well this morning, is it okay if I do my work from home? Obviously, your field of work kind of dictates if that works or not for you. And obviously COVID has probably complicated that all as well. A lot of companies are working from home anyway. But there are just so many accommodations that you can get at your workplace as well. And legally they are supposed to and technically have to, you know, accommodate you and your issues and whatever you need. So that was just kind of a quick overview for me of how I got accommodations and what kind of accommodations I've specifically asked for. Obviously, it's going to be different for every person. What one person might need, another person might not. But even though it can be something that seems really scary and daunting at first, just be open with whoever you're working with to get those accommodations. Be honest with what you need, and be willing to kind of push back if they seem hesitant on it. But if you have any questions, reach out to me, reach out to other people that you know with IBD. Chances are most of us have gotten some kind of accommodation at some point in our lives, whether we even realize it or not. So reach out with any questions. If you guys have any advice on accommodations you've gotten or how you've gotten them, let us know as well. But I wish you guys all the best of luck with getting the accommodations that you need and that you deserve in school and in the workplace.